What's up guys? One of my missions with this channel has been sharing my experience learning the piano. So today I'll be telling you about some of the things that didn't work out so well for me. It would be great not to have to record this video, but I believe it makes perfect sense to do it because the same thing may happen with you at some point, and I think it's good that we have a dialogue about this kind of stuff. Now keep in mind, I'm no expert in any of this, and I'm really not trying to come off as one. I'm just having a chat with you as I would with my friends. So let's talk about why I stopped playing the piano, what it means for this piano journey, and my strategy for the future. Before we jump in though, let me just remind you that if you appreciate what I'm doing with the channel, the best way to show it is by clicking the like button and subscribing. So if you haven't done it already, please do so. And with that out of the way, let's go straight to the point. When it comes to hobbies and personal plans, I have an issue with unfinished projects. There. Now, it's not something that is new to me, although I didn't recognize it was happening with my piano hobby until recently. Okay, but what do I mean with that? Well, it means I love starting, planning, I love setting out to attack the most interesting challenges I can find, and I usually do it with great success, because I've done all that initial analysis, all the preparing, studying what to do, the best way to do it, and it's all very exciting at first, but then the rush kind of wears off. It's like all those plans and ideas that I had in mind, they just go to the background and they stay floating around, waiting for me to bump into them, which more often than not ends up not happening. I know that as with most things in life, you can't expect your progress to be exponential. It's more like an S-curve. You get a very slow start in the beginning and then you start ramping up, and to me it's really exciting, this small exponential section where you are really feeling you are progressing at a fast pace. I don't know if this makes sense to you, but I feel the exciting part is it's not really the speed at which you are progressing, it's like the acceleration. I feel that when I reach this stage where progress is linear instead of exponential, the moment I break that rhythm, the moment I stop investing time in whatever that hobby is, it just becomes really hard to get back to it. I've identified this in myself, and I know it doesn't really make sense. I mean, just like when you're driving a car, if you're going at a steady speed, you're going somewhere. You don't have to be accelerating every time. And it's the same thing with piano or whatever your personal project is. That's not the only issue though. As you know, there's a bit more to this project than just learning the piano. When I set out to do it, I also wanted to learn a bit of everything else. Video, MIDI, editing, YouTube, WordPress blogging, Discord, Instagram. I'm learning about all of this not because I think I have to, I definitely don't have to. I just found that all of those were super interesting as well to get my hands on, but now each of those is like a separate side project on its own that I have to do research on, I have to do troubleshooting, as if learning the piano wasn't challenging enough. Now, put all of that together with the first problem, add to it the ever-present day job that most of us have, and I just get into this spiral of inertia where just the thought of doing an activity becomes kind of overwhelming. Not in an obvious way, okay? I feel like I just subconsciously start avoiding it. Then 1 week goes by, 2 weeks go by, and when you realize it's been 1 or 2 months and you haven't been dedicating yourself to something that you enjoy. To make things worse, maybe a new hobby comes along or a new project that gives you all this rush all over again of starting, planning and executing, and bam, you're out. It's like, that's the issue, you know? You may even start asking yourself, do I really love this project? It's a fair question. I mean, if you're not dedicating yourself to it, if you're not spending the time, maybe that means you don't really care about it, or it's not something you want to do. But I think that's kind of misrepresenting the issue. At least for me, it's not that you don't like it or that you don't want to do it. Many times you like it a lot and you wish you were doing it, but for some strange reason you can't find the willpower to just do it. So what are some things I'm implementing and that you may do as well if you're facing the same issues? Again, I'm not an expert in any of this, okay? So if you have your own thoughts on it, just leave them in the comments and we can have a chat about it. Now, in my case, I have no doubt about it. I want to learn how to play the piano, and I want this learning process to be one of my many adventures. So what can I learn from other areas of my life that can help me with this? Professionally, I feel that this doesn't really impact me. I'm a software engineer, so I think you can compare both cases. There are projects, there are goals, but the thing is, in my job, I have this constant sense of responsibility and also accountability for whatever I'm doing. Now the thing is, with hobbies, most of the time, you're on your own, so that means you can do things whenever you'd like to, that's great, but it's also much easier to get sidetracked. Now, I believe the most important part is realizing that even in hobbies we love, it's not always going to be a dopamine rush. I guess it also depends on what your hobby is and what you are doing, but something like learning the piano, it's the hours you put in. You really have to do the grind, put your ass in the piano bench and do the exercises, play the same piece over and over again. That's the process. And I'm sure that any of the best players you can find, they will agree with that. And yes, I'm totally projecting this to you. This is what I have to tell myself. That's kind of what this video is about. But it's universally true. But getting back to the point, actions. What can we do about all of this? As you can tell, I've been thinking about this for a while and I was able to summarize it in 2 words, which were commitment and consistency. One way of being committed, and I've mentioned this in the channel before, is getting a teacher. If you're getting a teacher, you're not only getting the knowledge, you're also getting this kind of external force, which will make sure you are playing instead of just thinking about it. It's not something I'm doing right now, but if it works for you and you have the means to do it, just go ahead and do it. But there are other ways. So one trick that you might do is just tell a friend, tell a family member that you will be doing it, and you will be less likely to not do it. So I guess my way of doing it is telling you, although I do recommend you tell someone who can actually verify that you did it or tell you if you didn't. Oh, and also make sure you book the time for it. So don't just plan that you will be playing for 1 hour tomorrow or on the weekends. The important part is actually decide when you will be doing it. So if any other plans come along, then you know exactly what free time you actually have and you can plan things in a way that doesn't affect the time you have scheduled for piano or insert whatever project you are working on. What I like to do now is I actually put it on my calendar, but I used to do it in a post-it. Just the fact of writing it down is super helpful. Now, about consistency, one thing I can tell you from my own experience is obviously don't take long breaks, but if you do, which you will eventually, just get back to it as soon as possible. When you're practicing regularly, say 1 hour every day, you are building up this momentum and it becomes kind of automatic. And that's great because in the end it's all about the time you put in. So if you find yourself in the situation where it's easy to go do whatever you want to do because you've been doing it consistently at the same time every day, then cherish that and don't let it go to waste because that's exactly where you want to be. To help with consistency, I also like to use an app to track my hours. That's how I always know when I'm doing a progress video how many hours I have played in total. That also acts like a motivator to tell me if I have been doing what I want to do and accomplishing my goals. Or the other way around, it can also act as a reminder. Still on the topic of building habits though, I do recommend you read Atomic Habits by James Clear. I've read it last year. It's a very easy read, and the good thing is it actually has very actionable advice for building good habits and maintaining them. Hoping that it motivates you as it did for me, I will actually read you a quote by James, the author of the book, and it goes like this. If there is ever a gap between your goal and your system, if there's ever a gap between your desired outcome and your daily habits will always win. It doesn't matter how good your intentions were. It doesn't matter what you hope to achieve. It's what your habits are carrying you toward. And the great irony of all of this is we all so badly want to get better results in life. We all so badly want to make more money or reduce stress or to find love or to be more productive. But the results are actually not the thing that needs to change. It's the system that precedes the results. It's the habits that precede the outcome. Fix the inputs and the outputs will fix themselves. These have just been my thoughts and my experience, but I leave the word to you now. Is this something you have gone through? If you have, what have you done to change it? Just leave it in the comments, don't be shy. And if you'd like to, you can also hop on my Discord server and we can have a chat about it. And in any case, just remember, we only have so much time, so you better spend it wisely, doing good things that you love and that will be meaningful to you in the long run. So if I have to leave you with one message, I guess that's it today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I will put some useful links in the description and I will see you guys in the next one.